Welcome back for Keeper of the Lost City's Lodestar, chapters 71 and 72. Thank you so much for being here. If you're not already subscribed, what are you doing? Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a chapter. Give today's video a like, and let me know who you think Tam's gonna end up with. I was just thinking about it. I feel like it's gotta be, Stella, Maruka, or Stina, maybe? But yeah. Curious. Alright. Chapter 71. So, that happened, Tam mumbled. You guys okay? Fitz looked like he wanted to stab many things. Fine, Sophie said, pressing her shaky hand against the glass to study it. She'd moved to the cracked window, staring at the long grassy field, swaying in the wind, just trying to figure out how to get out of here. We could be wandering a long time trying to find a cliff. And my levitation's not strong enough to lift a whole nother person, Tam said, especially since it sounds like we need to be pretty high up if we're going to teleport. So weird that you need a freefall. I guess we press our panic switches, Fitz suggested. I thought of that, Sophie said, but it seems like something about this place must be interfering with the signal. Otherwise, wouldn't Dex already have brought the cavalry? He said the stronger trackers could be traced anytime, remember? So, what does that leave? Tam asked. A telepathic call to Forkle? That could work. But the suggestion gave her a better idea. She wasn't ready for another big dramatic scene, and Sylvanie had made her promise to call for help if she ever needed her. She only sent the transmission twice before a giddy "Sophie, Sophie, Sophie" blasted into her brain. But Sylvanie picked up on her mood almost immediately. Sophie need help? Yeah, Sophie told her. I don't know where I am, but find. The alicorn's voice flashed away, and Sophie barely had time to race outside before thunder cracked the sky and two shimmering alicorns, both gleaming silver, but one bigger with blue-tipped wings, soared out of the void and circled around the gray, restless clouds. Sophie, friend, help! Both alicorns tucked their wings and dove, slowing their fall at the last second and touching down in the long grass. Clearly, Sophie's ability to track thoughts to their location came from her alicorn-inspired DNA. Thank you, Sophie whispered, taking a cautious step forward. She knew Sylvanie trusted her, but Greyfell was always warier, especially now that he was going to be a daddy. His deep brown eyes flickered to hers, and then to the empty field, his fur bristling, hooves stamping. I don't like it here either, Sophie told him. We'll be quick. We just need to load up. Leave it to you to have our world's most valuable creatures at your beck and call, Tam said behind her, as he dragged Brant over. And I'm risking their lives by doing this. If the Neverseen show up... She socked Brant in the face to make sure he stayed unconscious. Fitz did the same to Rye. Bad people? Sylvanie asked. The worst, Sophie transmitted. Sylvanie's thoughts darkened. Bite them? Maybe once we get back. Right now, can you and Greyfell lean down, so it's easier to load them? I'm staying with Brant, Tam said, as Sophie and Fitz helped him hoist the limp body onto Greyfell's back. Can you two both fit on Sylvanie and hold Rye? We'll make it work, Fitz said. But I want you to sit behind me, he told Sophie. That way, I can be a buffer between you and Rye. I don't need you to protect me, she argued. I know, but I'd prefer knowing you're safe. Please? You have no idea how hard it was standing in that force field, watching them attack you, just thinking about it. He flung Rye over Sylvanie's neck and climbed on before offering Sophie a hand. She let him pull her up, blushing when she wrapped her arms around his wrist. They had to sit so close she doubted a piece of paper could have squeezed between them. Ready? Sylvanie asked. Fly, Sophie told her. And with a majestic flap, both alicorns launched into the sky. The cold wind whipped her hair and cheeks, turning everything numb, and numb was good. Sophie could use a lot more numb in her life. Sylvanie tried to distract her with a quick update on Operation Alicorn Baby, which was thankfully all good news. Then they reached a high enough altitude to dive. Hold on tight, Sophie warned Tam, and it's okay to scream during this next part. I'll be fine, Tam promised. But Sophie heard a fair amount of squealing and yelping as the alicorn zipped towards the ground. Right when they looked like they'd be splattered all over the grass, thunder cracked and the void split in the space in front of them, swallowing them in black. "Remind me never lose my leaping crystal again," Tam groaned, as they drifted through the dark nothingness. "You know how to get us out of here, right?" Sophie nodded. She just wasn't quite ready to head back to reality. Especially a reality where Keith had betrayed them. Again. Fitz must have noticed her hesitation, because he leaned back and whispered, "Whatever happens next, I'm right here with you. You know that, right?" "I do." The best part was, she actually believed him. "You ready?" she asked. "Sorta. I have to keep reminding myself we're bringing home prisoners." So did Sophie. They'd landed a huge win, but she had a feeling they were both thinking about what they'd lost. "Okay," she said, tightening her hold. "Here goes nothing." Her head filled with a clear image of the silver tower as bright white light cracked through the void, blasting them to foxfire. Aw, a little point for Sophitz there. Chapter 72. Sophie had braced for tears and screaming and lectures, and her friends and family definitely delivered the second they arrived. Sylvanie and Greyfell were kind enough to circle over the campus a few times to let everyone get the brunt of it out of their systems before they swooped in for the gentle landing in the lush purple grass. Everyone sprinted to meet them, and Sophie realized their welcome party had grown, now including Elwyn, all 12 counselors, Grady and Edeline, Kessler and Julene, Granite, Wraith, and Blur, and, maddeningly, Tam and Lynn's parents, all surrounding them in a massive circle. Questions were shouted, explanations were demanded, but it all screeched to a halt when everyone spotted the never-seen prisoners draping across the alicorns' backs. Sandor took charge then, ordering everyone to stand back as Walter and Lovis hauled Brant and Tam to the ground and stood guard over their unconscious forms. Edeline conjured the thickest ropes from their supply shed at Havenfield, and Sandor and Grizzle bound the prisoners more securely before Elwyn poured his strongest sedative down their throats. "What are you going to do with them?" Grady asked, the words as shaky as his hands. His eyes staying locked on Brant, and he positioned himself in front of Edeline and Sophie. "Let us handle it," Mr. Forkel told him. "We'll handle it," Counselor Emery corrected, his deep voice triggering a silence that seemed to still even the wind. The other counselors gathered around him, their gleaming circlets testifying to their authority as they focused on the members of the collective. The Never-Seen's crimes stretch well beyond your order. "Very well," Mr. Forkel said. "What is your plan for the prisoners?" "That is to be determined." Emery closed his eyes and turned away to moderate the telepathic debate with the other counselors. Everyone else swarmed closer to Sophie, Tam, and Fitz. "You smell like smoke," Elwyn noted, trying to flash an orb of red light around Sophie, even though Edeline was busy strangle-hugging her. "I'm fine," Sophie promised, not letting her eyes stray to the glass pyramid in the distance. "Tam and Fitz helped me take them down before things got out of control." "We're fine too," Fitz said, as his parents and Biana practically crushed him. Thank goodness Tam's shadows could break us out of Rye's force field. "Is that true?" Tam's mother asked. "You're a hero?" "Still not ready," Tam said, raising a hand to halt his parents as they approached. Instead, he wrapped his arms around Lynn, and she buried her face in his shoulder. "You guys have a lot of explaining to do," Dex told them. "Do you know you trapped me in that room? The mirror sealed shut the second Tam vanished. Sandor had to smash the glass." Biana begged for the whole story, and Sophie was grateful Fitz had the energy to tell it. He kept it short and sweet, focusing on their victories. "There's clearly more you're not saying," Mr. Forkel transmitted. "See for yourself." Sophie's nails dug into her palms as her mind replayed the whole showdown, from the moment the Never-Seen arrived to Keith's latest betrayal. "You need to move Wiley out of Louveterre, now, and Tam and Lynn can't go back." "No, they can't." Mr. Forkel's eyes flicked to Granite, and Granite scrambled for his pathfinder. "Excuse me," he told the counselors. "I must check on my son." "Your son?" Counselor Tarek asked, catching Granite's slip. Yes, I have a son, and another life behind this disguise. Surely that doesn't come as a surprise, and hopefully someday you'll cooperate with us and we won't have to hide. But until then, Granite leapt away, and Blur and Wraith followed. One of our hideouts has been compromised, Mr. Forkle explained. Fortunately, it sounds like the Neverseen are facing the same dilemma. On a way larger scale, right? Biana asked. If Tam does the shadow trick again, won't it take you to all of their hideouts? Any that are connected to the symbol, Tam said. Not sure if that's all of them. Then shouldn't we get a move on that? Alden said. We don't want to give them a chance to clear out. We also don't want to be hasty, Counselor Emery said. First, let's handle the prisoners in our custody. We've voted to move them to Luminaria, where we're already holding their co-conspirators. We'd been hoping to send a message during the summit that this worthless rebellion will soon be a thing of the past. And what better way to do it than to present them with 3 defeated prisoners. We'll arrange a viewing on the first night. I'm assuming you'll also be performing a memory break? Mr. Forkle asked. Not until after the summit. That might be too late. Sophie squared her shoulders as all eyes focused on her. We have reason to believe the Neverseen have a larger plan in the works. A plan that both Rye and Brant were involved in. Interrogating them is our only chance to learn how to stop it. And what is your reasoning for believing this? Counselor Emery asked. Sophie thought she was ready to throw Keefe to the wolves. But her voice wouldn't cooperate. When Tam and Fitz didn't chime in either, she went with a different tactic. You're really going to doubt us? After everything we've uncovered, you don't think this proves we might know a little more than you? When it comes to the dirty schemes of this refuse, Counselor Emery said, sneering at Brant and Rye, perhaps you are ahead of us. But we must think beyond this simple rebellion. We're trying to send a message to the other species of this world that they should fear and respect our power, and showing them a group of drooling, mindless wastes is not an image we're willing to present. We must always appear stronger, always superior, even when it comes to our prisoners. Let them see we faced and stopped a worthy foe, and when the summon is over, we will shatter and squeeze every shred of truth out of these disgraces, but only after we ensure they do not diminish the respect of our kind. That doesn't mean we can't interrogate them, Mr. Forkle reminded the council. With cleverness, we might be able to glean a few crucial truths. Perhaps, Counselor Orley said. The matter will be taken under consideration after the prisoners are properly secured, and after we've searched every last one of these hideouts you claim to be able to lead us to. It's about knowing what deserves priority. Please don't argue any further, Mr. Forkle transmitted as Sophie opened her mouth. I'll raise the issue again tomorrow, once a few more things have settled. For the moment, it is wise to focus on storming the hideouts. Fine, Sophie told him. Out loud, she asked the counselors, Are you going to let us help with the raids on the hideouts? It sounds like we'll require young Mr. Song's assistance, Counselor Emery said, ignoring Tam's scowl at the use of his family name. The remainder of you should return to your homes. It's not that we don't value your assistance, Orley jumped in. It's that you've risked your lives enough. I wish we could spare Tam the responsibility as well, but his talent and the nature of this gadget make him crucial. I have no doubt we'll need your assistance for many things in the days ahead. So, please, take this time to rest. I'm not opposed to keeping you safe, Adeline told Sophie gently, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. The other parents seemed to agree, and that settled it, except Lynn, who insisted on staying with her brother. I think it would be wise if you all stayed together, Mr. Forkle told Sophie and her friends. That way it's easier to reach you with updates and questions. Alden and Della offered up Everglen, and that became the plan. Oh, and Miss Foster? Counselor Terrick said as the counselors prepped to leap away. Thank you for bringing the Alicorns for a visit. It's good to see they're both healthy and thriving. Let's hope it remains that way. The last words reminded Sophie that Sylvanie and Greyfell probably shouldn't linger. She made her way over and stroked Sylvanie's velvety nose. Sophie okay? Thanks to you, Sophie told her. Sylvanie's brown, deep eyes seemed to peer right through her, and the motherly alicorn searched Sophie's emotions until she landed on the one subject Sophie was hoping to avoid. Keith. He isn't here. Sylvanie nuzzled Sophie's side. Good, she said. Keith, friend, good. I hope so, Sophie told her, breaking eye contact before she ended up in a sobbing mess. She'd cry for Keith later. Right now she had to focus. You and Greyfell should get somewhere safe. And get some snacks. Remember, you're eating for two. Sylvanie nudged Sophie's hand. She trotted closer to Greyfell, and both alicorns dipped their heads, almost in a bow, as Sophie told them she'd check on them soon. Soon, Sylvanie agreed, as she and Greyfell floated into the sky. Right before they teleported away, Sylvanie sent one final transmission. Keith, good, soon. Wiley has been moved, as has Prentice to be safe, Mr. Forkel told them, after they'd arrived at Everglen that night. Despite the late hour, everyone was still wide awake, gathering in Everglen's glittering dining room, a room Sophie hadn't been in since the day Aurelie, Bronte, and Kenrick had tested her for foxfire. The throne-like chairs, sweeping chandeliers, and silk-draped windows looked far too grand for such an exhausted group, and no one had touched the platters of food Della had set out, even the mallow melt. They'd been set up in a secure cabin high in the mountains, where they'll be able to recover together, he added. Neither seemed strained at all by the sudden move. If anything, they seemed more relaxed than ever. What about Tam and Lynn? Bianna asked. Where will they live now? We're setting up a secure residence for them here in the Lost Cities. That way they'll no longer feel so isolated. Blur has offered to serve as their guardian, and the council will be assigning them goblin bodyguards. And they've been granted permission to attend Foxfire once the term resumes again. Sophie tried to focus on the good news, and the hopeful hints in his tone. But you'll never be able to use Aluvitaire as a hideout again, will you? Fitz had spent a few hours sharing the heartbreaking details about Keith stealing Tam's crystal and helping Alvar escape. No one, except Grady, who'd had quite a few choice comments about that boy, had known what to say, especially old Mandela. Never is a long time, Mr. Forkel told Sophie. Most things tend to be much more temporary, and while it's a regrettable setback, it's nothing compared to what the Neverseen have lost this evening. That's another thing I'm happy to report. With the help of Mr. Tam and a loyal contingent of goblins and dwarves, the council has now raided all 16 of the hideouts connected by the Lodestar symbol. Some had long been abandoned, but the others had very recently been sacked. So they were empty? Fitz asked. Stripped and scorched. Yes, Mr. Forkel admitted. I'll give them credit for their speed and efficiency. It must have been a mad, destructive scramble. And please try not to look so distressed by this news. Gathering more prisoners and evidence would have been nice. But either way, this is a significant victory in our favor. We've now shut down the majority of their network. But you don't think we got it all? Bianna asked. I think that Fenton's too clever to not have a few emergency evacuation areas. Plus, none of the hideouts had a silver door marked, "The star only rises at nightfall." Sophie rubbed the new knot forming under her ribs. So Keith's legacy was still out there, waiting for him. She wondered what his mom would say if she'd seen what her son had done that day. Would she have been proud he'd chosen to stay with the Neverseen over her friends, or furious he'd remained with the people who imprisoned her? I think that's all we can do for tonight, Mr. Forkel said, standing and reaching into his cloak for his pathfinder. Blur will be bringing Tam and Lynn here soon, and then I hope you'll all get to bed and try to relax. Wait, Dex said. I almost forgot. Do you still have Keith's old imparter? I returned it to Miss Foster, to do with it as she wished, Mr. Forkel told him. Why? I can't stop thinking about it. Ever since Sophie did that enhancing thing to me, I think there's something we missed. Do you still have it, Sophie? It should be at Havenfield, Sophie said. I'll retrieve it for you tomorrow, Sandor promised, as he stood to bring Grady and Adeline back to the safety of Gildenham. Before he left, he gave Sophie a long lecture on how she was not to leave Grizzle's sight even for a second, or trigger any more abilities. And true to his word, Sandor returned to Everglen the next day, holding the black case he'd recovered from her room. "Is it okay for us to talk around the imparter?" Bianna asked, as Dex popped open the case and slid his fingers across the silver screen. "Yeah, it's a different kind of signal than I realized." He tapped the screen in each of the corners. It's being fussy again." He glanced at Sophie. "Would it be weird if I asked to hold your hand?" Tam smirked. "Smooth." Sophie rolled her eyes. "I know what he meant." She pulled off her glove, and the second their fingers touched. "Whoa!" Dex breathed. "That's such a rush." The seconds slipped by, and he tapped the screen a few more places before telling the imparter, "Bypass." The gadget beeped and went dark. "Was that supposed to happen?" Lynn asked. "I don't know." Dex flipped the imparter over, tapping a few more places. The silence shifted from tense to restless to endless. Then a voice blared from the screen. "Password?" Next up is chapters 73 and 74. Join me then. Thanks for listening. Bye!